I'm Kevin Yeager, and welcome to episode 16 of Rotary Cares, the monthly award-winning show that will tell you everything you wanted to know about Rotary International and more. Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers that come together to make positive, lasting change in communities at home and abroad. Established over 110 years ago, Rotary now has 35,000 clubs all over the world. Rotary's motto is service above self, and Rotarians adhere to the four-way test, a nonpartisan, non-sectarian ethical guide for Rotarians to use for their personal and professional relationships. The test has been translated into more than 100 languages, and Rotarians recite it at club meetings. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? In Brattleboro, there are two clubs. The Brattleboro Rotary Club that meets every Thursday over lunch at the American Legion, and the Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary Club that meets every Wednesday over breakfast, also at the American Legion. Today, we will be discussing Rotary Youth Exchange. Our guests are Brattleboro Sunrise Rotarian Mona Williams, who is the club contact of the Youth Exchange, and Lucija Gacic, an exchange student from Croatia. Welcome, Mona and Lucy.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
So Mona, how long have you been involved with Rotary?
I have been a Rotarian for about a year and a half now. I think I joined in October of 17, maybe.
And what was the main thing that encouraged you to join Rotary?
I was looking for a group to become part of that I could give back to the community. It was really important for me. My children were grown up and I had more time available, and it was time for me to give back to the community.
And this seemed to be a good outlet for you, something that you felt in a way that you could help contribute to the community and yourself? I
did. I went to probably 6 meetings before I became a Rotarian, and I enjoyed every bit of it. It just seemed like a perfect fit for me. The things that the Sunrise Rotary gets involved with, giving back to the community, the projects that we do, was exactly what I wanted to do.
Wonderful. Rotary clubs host exchange students ages 15 to 19 in more than 100 countries. How did the Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary become involved in this particular program?
So through my place of employment, one of our managers is and was the district chair for the Rotary Exchange program, Jim Rumrell, and he had contacted me when they had another student that they were told wanted to come over here, and they didn't have a club to host. So he asked me to bring it to the Sunrise Rotary and find out if we might be interested in hosting an exchange student. And it was kind of just a feel it out process, see if somebody, there was a couple host families interested, if the club was interested in hosting it all and being involved in that. Because it had been some years since Brattleboro has hosted an exchange student. And I brought it to the club, and here we are with Lucy.
Here we are with Lucy. Are there any particular requirements of the club in order to be involved in this program?
So a couple things. The club has to vote on it and say that yes, they want to bring in an exchange student because there is some financial support for that. Right. We also need to have a club counselor, which is what I am. I'm Lucy's counselor, and then we need to have at least 2 host families. Some places have 3 and 4. I think there was one district that actually had 5 different host families, and they split it up over like 6 weeks maybe. Yeah. And it just gave that exchange student all the more experience. But you need to be able to have people willing to open up their homes and say, yes, I would love to have an exchange student in, and take on that responsibility, as well as the host club being there to support the exchange student and those families.
Was there a good reception in terms of being able to find host families for Lucy out of the club?
We did. We had 2 people pretty immediate that wanted to do it. It was just going through the process.
Yeah.
It's not a stressful process. It's just going through the process.
Right.
It takes a little bit of time. Certain people need background checks. Host families obviously need to go through the background check process, but it's not difficult.
Do you have a sense of how long it might have taken from first presenting it to the club before Lucy actually joined us?
Before she got here, we did it quickly because Lucy was the last minute applicant to come in. Typically the process starts in February or March, and your student arrives somewhere between the middle and end of August. So you usually have 5 months or so, 6 months to really work on that. We had about 4, but we did it.
Great, and we're glad you're here. Lucy, from your perspective, why is it that you wanted to get involved in the Rotary Exchange program?
Well, ever since I was young, I watched a lot of movies and TV shows, and I kept seeing, American high schools, and it always looked so cool and much different from Croatia. So when I found out about Rotary and the Youth Exchange program, I definitely knew I wanted to go. So.
From that first moment that you thought about it, was it a rigorous process to go through to finally get to the point where you were actually chosen as an exchange student?
It wasn't rigorous, but it was a long process. I started applying in November, and I had to go through a few interviews and write a few essays, fill out some forms, but we got there.
Can you talk a little bit about the selection process? Obviously you referred to filling out forms and all of that, but was there an interview? Were there multiple interviews? How do you have a sense of how long that selection process took?
In November, I had to contact a club in my town and ask them to sponsor me. So I had to go to their meeting and meet them, and they had to make a decision on whether or not they wanted to sponsor me. So when I did get a sponsor, they emailed me that there would be an interview. It was the end of December, and after that interview, about a month or 2 later, they let me know that I was accepted, and a few months after that, I found out where I was going. So yeah.
Wonderful. Were you one of several that were going through the program, or was it more of an individual student that was chosen by the club, or were there more than one?
There were 2 other guys that got sponsored by my club, and there was a total of 13 of us in Croatia that went on exchange with Rotary.
Wow. So I'm fascinated by your mastering of the English language already. Was that something that you were adept at before you came to the United States? Is it something that's taught in school so that you already had that knowledge and before you came?
It's taught in school every year since first grade. So I had a good grasp on it before I came here, but I definitely improved.
A little bit different than American schools, where we teach a language, but we don't start quite that early. So obviously it has paid off for you at this particular point, which is really good. So we're going to take a quick break for this message from Rotary International about why you should join Rotary, but we'll be right back with more from Lucy and Mona. Welcome back to Rotary Cares, a monthly award-winning show that demystifies Rotary International. Our guests are Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary member Mona Williams, who is the club contact for the Youth Exchange, and Lucija Gacic, an exchange student from Croatia. The Rotary Club of Copenhagen, Denmark, initiated the first Rotary Exchange in 1927, and the Rotary Club of Nice, France, followed suit soon after in 1929. Back then, the exchanges took place during school vacations for only a couple of weeks. So, Lucy, do you have a sense of how long your exchange will last?
Yeah, it's the whole school year, so August to June.
And were there any specific things that you had to do to prepare to be an exchange student, especially coming to the U.S.?
We had a seminar where they taught us everything about some of our expectations and what we'll be going through. But besides that, I just watched a lot of YouTube videos of other exchange students and how they're doing.
So obviously, or maybe not obviously, did you know early on that you would be coming to the U.S.?
Yeah, I found out in February that I was going to the U.S. And a few months later, I found out what town.
And so I would assume in that interim, you had a chance to sort of study up on culture and customs and watching movies and learning certain things about the U.S. before you got here, no doubt.
Yeah.
Did you come by yourself, or did you come in a group of students that are dispersed among other Rotary clubs here in the U.S.?
By myself.
By yourself. Was
Yeah.
it scary?
A little bit, because
Yeah.
it was my first time flying, and I had a layover in Frankfurt, which is huge.
Yeah.
So I had to find my gate and everything.
Your first time away from home as well? To a foreign, I mean, to a foreign country, because
Yeah.
I presume, crossing the ocean is not something you do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So now that you're here, you've been here since last, August, September. You're a student
August.
at BUHS. What year student are you enrolled as here?
Junior.
And how are you finding that transition to the high school here versus high school in Croatia?
I like it because back home I can't choose my classes, and here I can. And we also have school sports, which is just amazing how everyone takes it seriously.
I'm assuming more serious than in Croatia?
Yeah, we don't really have, school sports. If you want to play a sport, you find a separate club for it. And some schools may get their students together for a tournament or something, but rarely.
Are there other aspects of being in high school here in the United States that you don't have in Croatia in terms of clubs or music or theater or things of that nature?
Yeah, it's definitely, we don't have a big variety as here. We just kind of take 16 classes at once, and it's a little bit of everything. And we don't have as much equipment as you do.
16 classes at one time seems
Yeah.
like it would be extremely difficult to keep track of
Yeah.
coursework and where you had to be at what time. Did you play sports in Croatia before you came over?
I did in middle school,
What sport?
basketball.
And I understand you play basketball here.
Yes.
How was that experience?
It was great. I got accepted to varsity. It was just amazing, the whole experience and singing the anthem before every game. Yeah.
And I have it on good authority that you actually got into a game and scored some points. Is that right?
Yeah. They took a picture of the reaction of my whole team, and it was apparently on ESPN News or something like that.
And has that been shared with friends and family back home?
Yeah, I posted it on Instagram and sent it to some family members.
And their reaction?
No, they were like, "Oh, that's so cool! You got a whole news article."
Obviously, winter sports is over. Do
Yep.
you have a spring sport that you're interested in?
Yeah, I am trying out lacrosse.
Lacrosse.
Yes.
That had you had any experience at all before that?
No, I didn't even know what it was before I came here.
So what made you choose lacrosse?
It just looked fun, and I wanted to try something new.
And you want to get out there with sticks and
Yeah.
bang people around and throw that little ball around
Yeah.
and all of that, yeah. Any interest in music or theater or any clubs that the high school offers?
Well, I took a guitar class first semester.
And how did that go?
That was fun.
Are you still playing guitar?
No, because I don't own one here, but back home I do, and I'm excited to go back and finally have a guitar again.
Well, we may have to get the club to pony up for a guitar so that you can continue to play and serenade the Sunrise Rotary some morning with your expertise. How has been the reaction from your family and friends back in Croatia? Have they been excited for you? Obviously, I know firsthand that it's been a little bit difficult being away from your family for such a long time. Do you have regular contact with them?
Yeah, we get on video calls every weekend or every other weekend, but generally they're excited for me and also excited for me to come back home. They're a little bit jealous because I only have 4 classes and they have 16.
And I'm sure your family is excited to have you come back because
Yeah.
Being away for this long, an extended period of time has to be difficult on everybody. I meant to ask, do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have a brother and a sister.
And how are they taking you being out of the house and out from under their feet for so long?
Well, I share a room with my sister back home, so she's probably excited to have it to herself.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And your
But-
brother?
He has his own room.
So it's really not that big a deal, other than
Yeah.
you're not around the dinner table and
Yeah, well, I miss
Bugging
them, and I'm sure they miss me.
yeah. Any other experiences that you've had while you're here that you want to talk about? Things, impressions that have been made on you having been here for this amount of time since last September? Things that maybe you find to be different than you thought or the same? What are some of those impressions that you've formed now about being in the United States, living and going to school here?
Yeah. Well, I thought I knew just about everything there was to know about America because I'd heard so much about it. But coming here, there were so many differences that I never expected. Like, I don't know, so many flags everywhere. I never thought that it would be like that,
Now, flags in terms of American flags?
Yeah, like in front of houses and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And also the amount of just choices for everything. It stressed me out so much ordering food. They
Yeah.
ask so many extra questions that they would never ask back home. Like,
Like, what do you want on your hamburger? Do you want
Yeah.
fries? Do you want,
what kind of bread, what kind of cheese?
Yeah.
Just like, you choose.
So the options in Croatia are pretty basic.
Yeah.
You got bread, you have meat, you have
Yeah.
cheese, all of that. It's interesting to hear about the differences that you encounter. What about socially? What have you found to be the the most pleasant thing about being in the social circles that you live in every day? At school, with your host family?
Well, I find that Americans are generally more open and friendly to strangers. Like hosting an exchange student in Croatia, not many people do it, and here it's like everyone's like, oh my God, you have an exchange student, that's so cool, you know? Whereas back home they would be like, why would I take a guest in my home and feed them for a year, you know?
Yeah, I can imagine it's kind of a different attitude.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think that the Sunrise Rotary Club has been very open and receptive to having you
Yeah.
with them in the club.
I definitely feel welcome.
That's great. Being a member of that club, we certainly enjoy having you with us whenever you're there, and hearing about all of the things that you do here, and the things that you're getting to do for the first time,
Yeah.
and all of that. So, do you think that this is the kind of thing that you would encourage other students your age to participate in?
Definitely. If you ever have the opportunity to go on exchange, just do it. You know, trust me, you get so many experiences that you would never get in any other situation. You grow as a person, you become more independent. I mean, you're living on your own basically for a year away from home.
Has that been made easier with the host families that you've been staying with? I would presume that some of them have had other kids in the house, so
Yeah.
that you've had that interaction.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like a part of a family, but some things you're on your own for.
What are some of the outside activities that you've been able to participate in outside of the Rotary side, whether socially or with other members of the club?
Well, I've hung out with some of the Rotary members. I went disc golfing, and I went with Mona a few times to see like the lights in Springfield for Christmas. Yeah. I've also gone to New York with some exchange students from my school, which is not Rotary, but
Right.
yeah, that was also amazing.
Was being in the Big Apple pretty eye-opening for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You feel like you're in the center of the world.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. Well, it's wonderful that you've had this experience, and it's great that you're going or will be going back with such a wonderful experience, and all of the things that you've been able to see and learn about and experience while you've been here. So on behalf of the Sunrise Rotary Club, for one, we're certainly glad that you were a part of our program this year, and we hope that we can continue to do it again in the future. So one last question. What's the best thing so far about being in the Rotary Youth Exchange?
Just the whole experience, just living a completely different culture for a whole year.
That's really what it's all about,
Yes.
especially for a teenager such as yourself. Wonderful. Well, I would like to thank our guests, Mona Williams and Lucija Gacic. Thanks also to BCTV for recognizing us as 2018 Nonprofit Member of the Year. And a shout out to Brian Bashaw for helping us bring this show to you. If you have any questions, concerns, or ideas for future topics, send them to info@BrattleboroRotaryClub.org. That's info@BrattleboroRotaryClub.org. I'm Kevin Yeager. Thanks for watching.